All right, folks, back at it. I've let this thing run for about a week and a half now, and you can see where I've like turned off my computer. These two little jumps here, that's when the computer lid was closed. But this is just too much data to get any sort of significance out of it. So what I was thinking is that let's write some code to figure out how do we like aggregate it hourly if it's in the last 6 hours, and then otherwise daily if it's in the last 2 weeks, and then maybe weekly if more than that. We'll have to maybe see. I don't have that much data just yet. So I'm going to open up my index on the back end, and we're going to go to the data here. And I'm just going to make like let's leave that one as the raw. And let's just call this aggregate. And in here, we're going to pull the values from the database. We have our unique values here. But right here is where we need to aggregate these values. So what I think I'll do is I'll make in my library, let's make a new file called aggregate.js. And we'll make a function called aggregate that takes in the scrapes, and we'll export that. Then up here, we'll import that. And we'll go ahead and use it. So let's just start with Twitter since that's the most. So we'll say const ag Twitter is equal to aggregate Twitter. And then from here, I'll simply just return aggregate Twitter. From here, I'll just return the scrapes for now. And let's check if that works. So is localhost. All right, so we got our data being passed back. So now I need to figure out like how do you throw some of these out? Obviously, we want if it's the latest within the hour, and we want the latest within the day if it's daily. So what I'm thinking here is that we'll loop over them, and we will, I'm not sure if I should use an object here or push it into it. Maybe we should, let's loop over it and push it into the array. And before we push one of these into the array, since the newest is always in here, we'll check if there's anything for that hour or for that day already in the finished array. And then if there's something in there, we won't push it in because that's obviously not data we want. And if it is in there, or sorry, isn't in there, we will push it in. So at this point, what we need to do is convert these timestamps to a date that will give us the hour. So I've thought a lot about how to approach this, and I even wrote it. So I'm going to save you from the half an hour, 45 minutes of me sort of pawing through how to approach this. I really like these, like you have an array of data and you need to make it unique-ish, but it's not all based on a single property. So I've come up with the idea of looping or mapping over each of these things, and then putting like some sort of unique key on each one based on either the current day or the current day and hour of each one. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. This might not be the best approach. Please feel free to leave GitHub gist in the comments if you have found maybe a better way to approach this. This is just sort of my second or third stab at trying to approach this. So let's go in here, and we'll make a new variable called aggregate scrapes. And we're going to just assign that to the scrapes. And let's return the aggregate scrapes. Make sure it still works. Good. Then we're going to map over each of those. So we'll say dot map. We'll take each scrape. And then from each of those scrapes, we are just going to return the scrape with a new key on it. So let's return a object with everything from the original scrape, but then we're going to add a new key on each of them that is based on the date. Let's just say hi for now. All right, so each item has a key on it. Now what I'm going to do here, I turned it into an implicit return. Here we go. We'll go up here. Then I'll just say const key is equal to, we need to make a key that's going to be the year, the month, and the day. I don't know what day it is. Something that looks like that. And then we're going to uniqueify it based on that key. And then the ones that need the hour will also append the hour onto the end. So we can do that. I think that will work. So I guess we need the date first. So it's a const date is equal to new date. And we'll take the scrape dot date. And what that does is it takes the actual, just the timestamp. This is just a number, and it's going to turn it into an actual date, so which we can pull the day, month, year off of. And then we'll make an actual key variable that is set to the year, month, day, something like that. And then we'll remove that. So does this still work? Good. Yeah. Then let's just go ahead and replace that. So we'll take the date.get full year. Gets the date. I think UTC year is what we want. Let's look that up. What's the difference? Get full year. The get full year function returns the year and specified date. The value returned get is an absolute number for dates between blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is the Y2K. So we need get full year. Maybe that will work. Okay, so let's see if it's working. Okay, so we've got that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and swap out the month with the get month method and the get, I think it's get days. I usually get day. I usually use something like the date functions library, but when it's so simple like this, I don't necessarily need it in this case. So I'll take the key. Now every single item has a key in it. What I want to do is say for the ones that are in the last 6 hours, I also want to give them the hour. So we'll make a function called is in last 6 hours. This is the most specific function ever. And then that will take in a timestamp. And we need to know like how many milliseconds is an hour, or is 6 hours. So say const 6 hours ago is equal to, there's 1,000 milliseconds in a second. There's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 6 hours is what we want. We could probably take in the number of hours, but let's make this a very single use function. And then we'll say if now minus the timestamp. So if right now minus what we're passing in, if that is less than 6 hours ago, then we will return true. Otherwise, we will return false. And if you want to be cool, you could actually just return this. And because this will parse into a Boolean of true or false, that will just return it directly. Then we can go up here. And I could do the conditionals inside of here, but that's going to get messy. So what I'm going to do is I'll make like a variable called optional hour. And we'll say if it's in the last 6 hours, scrape timestamp. Then we are going to return dash date.get hours. Otherwise, we are going to return nothing. Then we can take that optional hour and then just tack it on to the end here. And if that worked, the ones at the bottom should also have an hour tacked on to the end. That didn't work. Let's find dash 11. Let's console log optional hour. Okay, so none of them is in last 6 hours. So we'll move this back to if return true. Console log, it is in the last 6 hours. That is return false. Did this restart? Nothing. All right, something's wrong with our if statement. If date.now minus the timestamp. Are we passing in the timestamp? Let's just console log timestamp. Make sure that's getting passed in appropriately. Undefined. Okay, good. Obviously, we're not passing it in properly. Scrape. Oh, it's not timestamp. The property is called date, not timestamp. So that was our problem here. Let's move this back to where we were. And go to the bottom. By the way, this is an extension called JSON Viewer. A bunch of you were asking in the comments. There we go. At the end of it, it also gives us the hour as well. One question I have is, does get hours, does that return like 12 and 12? Because I could be possibly deleting good data because like it's 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. So we want 24 hours. So JS date get get hours. Let's look it up. According to local time, get hours. There we go. An integer between 0 and 23 representing. Okay, so it's not going to give me like 11 p.m. It's not going to be 11 p.m. It's going to be 22 if it's 11 p.m. So that's good. I think now we just need to sort of uniqueify this. And my idea with this was we want like the last instance of this, right? So maybe we should first reverse it. So dot reverse, because if we've got all of these on 5, the last one is what we actually want, but it's going to be much easier if we can just grab the first one that shows up and then not care about the subsequent ones. So okay, that's good. Then we'll tack a dot reduce onto here. And the reduce is going to take in the accumulator and the current value. And that's going to start with an empty array. Then inside of this, we're going to check and see if this key is already in the accumulator. So say if the accumulator has it inside of it. So we'll do a find inside of the accumulator. We'll say if the scrape, for each scrape, we're going to check if the scrape.key is equal to the current value dot key. And maybe we should not. Let's call that current scrape so we understand what that is. If that's true, we want to return it. So we actually want the opposite. So if it's not found, we'll redo this. If it is not found, we want to keep it. So if that is true, we will return a new array with everything that we've got so far and then the current scrape. Otherwise, we just want to return the accumulator because there's nothing we want to do with this one. Whew. All right, so what that does is it loops over this sort of new empty array, and we're either saying, yes, we want it, put it in the accumulator. Otherwise, we don't want it. We're just going to return the accumulator. Scrape. Scrapers declared but never read. Oh, it's because I can't spell. Scrape. There we go. Okay, now, so we've got hour, and then after that, there's no more hourly because it hasn't happened in the last 6 hours. And then we've just got daily. So 1, 0. Oh, I don't, 0. That's not, what did we do here? Get day. I don't think that's what we want. I think day gives us Sunday through Saturday. So get date. That's what we want. There we go. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then at the very end here, we get our 11, 12. I think we are in good shape. Now, if we go into our front end, I think it's called data.js. We want to fetch them from, was it page.js where we put it? Yeah. Let's change it out to aggregate and refresh this. And oh, it's because we are not returning. We'll just return an empty array for Instagram right now. Oh no! Because we've now reversed it in the back end, we need to unreverse it. I think we did it. Where did we reverse it? All right, we no longer need this, and then this is just going to be called scrapes. Okay. So now we're getting daily. There's obviously a big gap here. Oh no, it didn't put 10 days, 11 days, 8 days. I closed my laptop at some point, so we have a little bit incomplete data. But then we do get a little bit more fine-grained data going on with this. Beautiful. Let's now see if we can use that also for, we can actually just do this, aggregate Twitter. And then for Instagram, we should be able to just pass it Instagram. Why is it now going down? What did I do? I thought we just... There we go. I must have had something cached in there. Oh, this is interesting. Every other... Oh, you know what I did? Is because scrapes actually mutates it. Every other one is backwards. Oh, that's hilarious. So we should here instead, we need to just take a copy of the scrapes and then run reverse on that. Does that fix it? It's consistently backwards. So do we not need that? All right, so they're consistently going down now that I did this. And I think if I just pop another reverse on the end here, that will then consistently put them up. All right. Whew, that was a funny one. That's the perfect example of a mutating, like the why the reverse method is kind of tricky, because things with like map reduce, they never harm the original array, but reverse will mutate, it will harm the original array, which in our case is not what we wanted, but once we do hit the final one, we can reverse it. So that's exactly what we wanted. It's kind of nice to have a little bit less data, using a little bit of, dare I call it, an algorithm that shows us what we do want to keep and what we can throw out. It's a little bit less noisy and gives us the actual data that we're looking for. We probably don't care about hourly 11 days ago, but maybe we do care about hourly within the last 6 hours or so. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Next video, I think we'll do is we'll just clean it up a little bit and then get to deploying. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to see. I'll talk to you next one.